Hello again, this is Dan Gardner, and welcome to Module 9 of the Mercado Institute of International Trade's training program entitled Customs Clearance Procedures in the United States. We're changing gears rather dramatically, starting in Module 9, where we're going to get into a lot of the regulatory and legal aspects of importing into the United States. Before we begin, we have to make a disclaimer, and that is that we are not lawyers, we are not attorneys at Mercado. As such, the prose, graphics, examples, anecdotes, and audio explanations found in this module are for educational purposes only. Under no circumstances should any facet of this training material be construed as legal advice. With our disclaimer stated, we can say that we have a lot of great material in this module, all related not just to customs clearance in the United States, but all of the upstream activities that we've been talking about from the very beginning, starting in Module 1 up through Module 8. Within that context, our objectives are clear. First, present customs brokerage as a vital function in a U.S. import supply chain, customs brokerage being the act of clearing goods into the commerce of the United States. Consistent with our overall theme, we also want to demonstrate the importance of integrating inbound transportation with the customs clearance process. Bullet 3, we want to provide insights into the regulatory component of working with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which we will refer to as CBP. We also want to enhance the student's understanding of the operational, documentation, and service aspects of clearing goods into the U.S. And then finally, it is our goal to share operational and regulatory expertise that enhances the importer's knowledge of all facets of the U.S. Customs clearance process and how an importer can use that knowledge to its competitive advantage. This is a big module, actually the biggest of all, so our agenda is rather lengthy. First, we're going to start with the importance of integrating inbound transportation with customs clearance activities. That theme is transcendental. It will come up over and over and over again. Second, we're going to identify the players in the U.S. Customs clearance process. Third, we're going to begin to introduce U.S. Customs and Border Protection to the story, CBP, but also, as we see in our sub-bullet, partner government agencies, PGAs as they're called, Food and Drug Administration, U.S. Department of Agriculture, other entities that have something to say about importing into the United States. Next up will be a study of the U.S. importer of record, but as it relates to informed compliance and reasonable care, two standards that U.S. CBP put forward some many years ago. We'll introduce different types of customs entries. We'll talk about pre-importation considerations, working with customs brokers and customs bonds. From there, we'll get into a review of the automated commercial environment, the single window trade portal through which all import and export transactions are conducted in the United States, referred to as ACE. We'll get into some not so exciting but very necessary studies of U.S. CBP regulations, which is found in Title 19 of the Code of Federal Regulations. From there, we start into the nitty-gritty of classification and valuation of imported goods, reviewing the structure of the Harmonized Tariff Schedule of the United States, also known as the HTSUS. We will learn how to classify merchandise using the HTSUS through an analysis of chapter, heading, and subheading detail within that very complex publication. We'll look at U.S. CBP commercial invoice requirements, which really drive a customs entry at the end of the day. Then we will move on to an analysis of how customs duties are assessed in the U.S. under different trade programs, what's referred to as normal trade relations, NTR, preferential duty programs, and free trade agreements. Second bullet on this slide, we'll look deeply into the process of the valuation of goods for payment of customs duties, and the three ways to do that using transaction, deductive, and computed value. We'll talk about country of origin, marking requirements, and other regulatory requirements too, the automated manifest system, AMS, and importer security filing, 10+2. Finally, last slide on our agenda. We'll get into entry preparation itself, the preparation and presentation of actual electronic customs entries through ACE, the documents required, and the entry summary itself, We'll look at payment of duties, the automated clearinghouse procedure, as well as periodic monthly statements. These are payment-related topics specific to the payment of duties to the U.S. government. We'll get to the tail end by looking at the liquidation of entries, filing a protest, and then some best practices for working with customs brokers. As you can see, this is a detailed agenda. This is a detailed subject. As we said already, it's the longest and probably most detailed of all 10 of our modules. So buckle yourself in and get ready to work and to learn as well. When we come back, we'll start with customs clearance and the integrated supply chain.